Once again we are back on एक Boond Soch की Tea Talk Train of and Thought with a series of an episode with Lieutenant Colonel Anjan Sinha. When we started his introduction was a real great, and then his first step in the first episode what we have seen his schooling in the military school. There are only 5 military schools all over India, and to crack into that military school is a challenge where the analytical abilities come into picture, where Lieutenant Colonel Anjan Sinha have cracked and he got into a military school. Sir, while being part of a military school, can you share some of your experience over there? Were you at home or you did your studies while being part of a boarding?
So it was a boarding school. Military school is essentially a boarding school. To be very honest, yes, I would like to share. In fact, time would be short. I'll share a couple of incidences, and not to take negatively, but how do you make a man out of a small boy? I remember it was winters. Chail is situated in the Shimla hills at an altitude of around 7,500 feet, and the place is also known for the highest cricket ground in the country, and it's a beautiful place. I'm sure a lot of audience people knows about it. I shall share you a couple of incidences. The concept of mass punishment. The concept of mass punishment. Generally, what happens? You see, things are changing. But in schools, in boarding schools, I remember some theft took place. I was in class 7th that time, 13 years old. It was peak of winters. Something happened in the audience. I remember how to find someone. So we all were punished. We were all naked, standing in the night, putting only our undies or the undergarments, and till 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, just one of us probably in the entire team would have created some nuisance. But it was a concept of giving a mass punishment. So that's how basically I would say the bonding strengthened between the group is because of the mass punishment. It was not that single, if one is at fault it's okay, but in schools like this, in boarding schools and otherwise, this is how you develop the bonding. The best of the bonding you get when you are actually put to be grilled together.
Correct.
So the entire group of 40-50 people in different houses standing alone in the night for some mistake I don't know whether someone has done it or not.
Correct.
Standing night till 1 o'clock, all were punished. The moment we were left, all of us pushed back to our quilts. And second thing, I also would like to confess, I don't know how people take it. I remember, again, not to take it as negatively, we have to see the things positive. Yes, I do agree, and through this medium, we as a kids used to go and rate apple orchards. Apples, who doesn't like apples? And plucking a fruit right from the tree, it's a privilege again. So we were again bad boys. Although I was one of the decent ones, but then yes, as a group, we thought of going once to the orchards, and could you beat it? The next day, it was known to the principal that some group of boys has gone, and when it comes to own up, hardly few could own up. Those who owned up, they were given less, and those who could not, it was identified, and we were again punished by the school. But again, a good experience amongst our batchmates, which we talk about when we meet. One of the best episodes of I would say moments of my life. Then comes sporting. I could say, sir, when we were in class 11th and 12th, like I'm graduating, the kind of sportsmen we had in our batch, probably it would compete with any guys in the university. So the boarding school, what it gives you is the kind of strength, the kinds of stamina, the kinds of josh, the kinds of vigor it gives instill in that boys of age, you would say 14, 15, 16, that it is comparable to any university level. Like when I reached NDA and I could see sports there, I saw that this was like 100 meters. If someone is coming up in 10.52 or 11 seconds, I may be incorrect the figures. I would say no. In my class, he was the best, and he could beat him. This guy. So that is how I relate military schools. Why? Because we as boys and even girls today, we are at the peak in our university days. But that time, 16, 17, 18 age, boys were too good. Whether you take it boxing, you take it athletics. And the school gave me a very, very good exposure. Like I used to be a debater myself, participating in debates, going for quizzes a large number of essay writing competitions. So boarding school that way, in fact, that motivated me to put my son again in a boarding school. I personally feel the boys and girls, irrespective of the gender,
Correct.
they must go through the rigor of boarding school at least 2 to 3 years in their education,
Correct.
in their school life.
Correct.
This is what my perception is. It's not that those who don't go into boarding, they don't do well. But they all do well. But
many a
boarding
times-
school, they gives you good foundation.
Correct. Many times we have seen the parents, they are in the emotional trap of a child, like, and they are very caring, over caring, I would say, many a times for a child in a civilian schools as such. What we have observed, like, they do a lot of hand holding. But I think the schooling, by being a part of a boarding, the kind of discipline which is there is amazing. Like,
It's absolutely true, sir. We all are emotional. I remember, as a parent, when I went in fact, when my son joined boarding, my wife was not that emotional the way I was emotional.
I see.
So you're very right. It is emotional bonding, and my son also was in good boarding school. But irrespective of emotions, we must, as a parents. So currently, if you see, the times have changed in last 20 years. What the gadgets we did not have, internet, the kind of penetration it has made into our lives, like mobile is a functional part of the body. It was not there. But even in today, to have a disciplined life, I personally feel that it is discipline which grooms a boy to a man, or a boy to a man, and a girl to a woman, and it is discipline which will get the society into shape. And the way we develop a society, that the way nation develops.
Correct.
That is the whole idea we want the audience to get it when we discuss, or when we want to share the concept of schooling.
एक है, एक बूंद सोच की जो आपके स्कूल से जो बुनियाद आपकी बनी थी ना, डिसिप्लिन वे.
That is discipline, sir.
In
In my first episode, I talked about I will be an officer.
Yeah.
In this, I would say, sir, for any person, for any society to grow up, we require one word, that is discipline. That is most important.
Correct.
In one word, I would like to sum up.
Correct. So, in second episode, Lieutenant Colonel Anjan Sinha have thrown light of his experience in the military school, and there the discipline is a word like which I think can make a base fundamental more stronger of your career. And maybe in the earlier episode he did spoke of that I want to be an officer. And I'm sure if anyone would like to make their career, if they are focused, if they write on their book and say that I'm the best, I'm the champion, and I want to be an officer, I'm sure nothing will come in way. You can find your path as well, life which is concerned. So thanks a lot for giving a real value addition tips to our T-Talk audience. I'm sure it's going to inspire them, and maybe I think some path in their journey. Like,
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.